Okay, so I'm out now and about. I had recorded a session last night that I was going to use for my journal, and then I decided, no, I'm going to re-record that. You ever record something, for any of you that do video, do you ever record something and then go, no, that just didn't work? I do that more often than not. And sometimes that's why it takes so long to get videos out. But today I was mainly running around trying to find some places and see where I could go. So I've dropped off some stuff just now at A1 Gaming, A1 Trade-In. And they're an awesome little store. They're moving to a new location, which is really cool. But the reason I stopped by was to drop this off. So take a look at that. That's for AirCap Comic-Con. That is going to be held here in Wichita, Kansas. So this is a pretty cool show. It's put on by some very cool people. And you can find them on Facebook. But I'll hold this up here for a little bit longer in the event you guys want to see that. The conversation that I had started last night was one about the idea of how stories can end. And I know I've touched on this before, but there's a reason why it hit me so differently. Yesterday, I had a lot of stuff that I could have done at home, and there was storms and things. So basically, long story made short, the dogs were freaked out. So I just stayed on the couch and I watched the entire final season of Disenchantment. About halfway through that season, it hit me that there's two other shows that run in tandem with it. The Simpsons and Futurama are the other two shows. And they both have an interesting history to them. Simpsons, as far as I know, has never been taken off the air. And Futurama was an instant love from the beginning. Now it's back on Hulu again. I'm very happy for that. But the reason that this all came about was I had been struggling as I was rewriting some of my books to get things finished up and done. Specifically because there's actually a wonderful video from the YouTube channel Retrograde where Michael French talks about it's okay for stories to end. Maybe it's a side effect of getting older. And here we are at A to Z. Okay, so that got dropped off. I did end up picking up some cool comics. I can show you guys that. This I was really happy about. I did drop them though, and I was like, Germert! But no, they're none for the worst. Okay, that's good. So, one I picked up was G.I. Joe Special Missions. I didn't have this one, and this is in great condition. And even though I dropped it, nothing bad happened. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. But I collect these just because I love to read the stories, and this is one I don't have. But I also love the advertisements on the back of them. That Dragonlance thing is rad as hell. I love Dragonlance. And then I had never picked these up because anytime I ever found them, they were always in a collection. And so this one I was like, oh, okay. I didn't find issue 1, but I did start off with issue 4 of Samurai Jack. And this is one I'm really looking forward to. Oh, there's some cool little My Little Pony advertisement on the back. Oh, it's for IDW's book on them too. So I love that cover art. This is freaking brilliant. Look at that. That is just beautiful. That is just phenomenal. All that texture and everything. It's just gorgeous. And then I picked up a second issue of Samurai Jack. This is issue 18. This one I had to pick up just because of what was on the cover. So look at that. Now, I don't think, I'm trying to remember all the episodes of Samurai Jack, but I don't think there's anybody like this in the books. But this whole aspect of these super robot looking samurai things are that's just everything. God, so I'm really looking forward to that. I had forgotten that there was a series for that. And so, yeah, that's just nuts. And, oh, well, and because whenever I go and interact with any shop, I like to try and pick up something. I will show you what I picked up at A1, which is really rad. I picked up, because for those of you that don't know, Atari is releasing the 2600, 7800, or it's not the 5200, it's the 7800 again. So those hold particular kinds of cartridges. And anyone I ever talked to is like, what? And I'm like, no, really, it is coming out. I met a team that is releasing it, releasing their game on there and everything. So I ended up picking up, this is the Sears Telegame Space Invaders. And these were all like $1. And so I'm hoping for the best there. And then a really nice Galaxian video game cartridge. First I thought it was Masters of the Universe because it looked like a Wind Raider on there. but I do love this game. He had a big box of them there. Huge box of them, so I was just digging through there. The reason I'm saying that is that new Atari release comes with a 10-in-1 cartridge, but it also is backwards compatible with all of these classic games. And then, of course, I picked up Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, I have no real memory of playing this game, and I couldn't even tell you. I know I've seen a YouTube playthrough, which is weird, but I just love the cover art as well, too. And this is just something that it definitely functions as, you know, a continuation of my childhood, essentially. Talk about not letting a story end. This one I couldn't pass up because I don't have a copy of this. And unfortunately, the only thing wrong with this is I don't have the instruction booklet, but that's okay. I've completed some like this. So I got Spellcaster for the Sega Master System, and the case is great. It's still got the tab hook on here from display. A lot of people used to break these off. I certainly did, and I regret that. But the cartridge is in really good condition. And but like I said, no book, no nothing else like that. Now, this one did not have a battery backup, which I was really happy for, because I tended to actually like password saves. I was always worried, even as a kid, but that goes to show a lot about me. I was really nerdy and really into battery technology and stuff as a kid, and I knew that batteries could leak and go bad and stuff. And like, I have a ton of games. If you have old games, it's probably a good idea to figure out, get yourself a tri-wing or whatever access sort of screwdriver tool you need to get in there and switch those batteries out. That might be a really good sort of video to put on my 80s Days Gone By playlist. But honestly, there are a ton of far more informed YouTubers and collectors that have great videos on how to replace these things and do that. Because I know the Pokemon games for Game Boy, for Game Boy Color and Game Boy are notorious for that. You know, especially the transparent ones, you can see the lithium battery in there, if I remember that right. And so, you know, you got to switch that out, not only because of the leakage and issues with age, but also because that's how you save your memory on that cartridge. Now, the actual game is not on there, for those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about. That's saved on memory on the card, but the battery does the saves of of how far you've gone in the game and different save files and things like that. That's how most cartridges are, unless it's password protected. Jumping back to the whole thing with, you know, stories not ending, it's kind of odd because I just picked up these Samurai Jack comics wanting the story to go on. I've seen the entire series. The only things I haven't done is play the brand new released game, and I haven't read this comic series. So for me, I do like when things continue on, but that's extra and optional, right? The main storytelling of Samurai Jack was fairly self-contained within the series. It ended right. They got it done right. That was another one that was heartbreaking. And so the whole point was that in having watched Disenchantment end as it did, and then knowing that Futurama has come back and that The Simpsons are still going on, that fascinates me, that facets of work that come initially from Matt Groening have found life in 3 different ways. One told a very tight, self-contained story within 5 seasons, a few years, via Netflix. And then Hulu now has Futurama, and it started out on Fox, on, you know, and then it went to Comedy Central, and then that sort of thing. It's been really wild. Even Adult Swim, I think it's still on there too. And then, you know, the Simpsons are now Disney. It took that long because it went from Fox Animation to now, you know, flying its flag underneath Disney. It's just really crazy to think about that. But those are all elements of where I look at it and I go, because even South Park lampooned this, that the Simpsons have already done it. And I did think about that. I was like, good Lord, they've been around so long, you know, 30 plus years, I think, that, you know, what more can you do with it? Isn't there a point where you just let it go? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, I'm happy for the voice actors that have been working on it forever. I'm happy for the writers and other people that have, like, had careers flourish from it. That's fantastic. That's got to be a comforting thing, you know, and it would hurt like hell when that's over with. But the older I get, the more I begin to appreciate a story or, you know, a world that is fairly self-contained. I know with Disney, that is something that once they get a hold of something, it will probably never end. I mean, you look at Mickey Mouse, they still drag that mouse out every once in a while. There hasn't been like a big flagship movie about him or anything. He's just an icon that, you know, he's sort of like Luffy from One Piece. He's instantly recognizable, you know, around the world and that sort of thing. And it's really strange to me that You know, while Luffy in One Piece is, you know, he's the captain of the ship and he's been through all these adventures and it's been wild. Mickey Mouse kind of fell off the radar. Now he's had some great things like the games that came out on the Wii, you know, for, you know, Epic Mickey 1 and 2, and then, you know, Castle of Illusion and stuff like that. Even in, what is it? And I've never played it, but Kingdom Hearts. I know he's got a part in there because I actually love his design so much. That is the one Mickey Mouse toy that I own, is a figure that of him from Kingdom Hearts, and I love it. But with these, you know, when I got to the end of it, it was exactly what I needed it to be for Disenchantment, is what I'm talking about. I really enjoyed that it ended and that it, you know, I could go back and I could watch it again. And for a while, Futurama fell into that same note. Because for those of you that remember, the last episode before the Hulu season started really did finish it in a way that I had not thought possible, that made enough sense that it fell within what they would have done in the earliest seasons when it was really at its height. That sort of storytelling and that way of wrapping it up and going, well, it never really ends, but it has ended. And again, I'm really a fan of finding things that just end. Sometimes that's why I really like limited series in comic books, or maybe even books that, you know, just they fit within a trilogy or something, and that's it. You know, it's up to fans if they want to add more to it, which sometimes can be hit or miss, or just letting our imaginations run with something like that. And I know, like, whenever Return of the Jedi ended, there was always is George Lucas going to make the other ones sort of thing going on back then, and then he took a break because he got divorced. And yeah, it was really strange because that was it. You know, we all knew back then, hey, that's it. You know, they blew up the second Death Star. The Emperor is dead. And you look now at what Disney has done, and believe me, I'm not complaining about it. I'm glad for anyone that has been enjoying it. I will never crap on anyone's love of that. If you like it, great, fantastic. The vast majority of it isn't for me, except for the stuff that tends to revisit that era cleanly, like Rogue One. Things like that, you can't miss with me on that. Anything else, and I start to kind of buckle underneath that, you know, this is not only derivative, but it's a retread. And if it's not a retread, it's basically a rebranding of the exact same thing. It just doesn't work for me. But that's okay. You know, it doesn't have to work for me.
Bluetooth connected.
Thank you. No, actually, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I think it's long enough. You guys take it easy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Okay, so I added one more place today. I even got a library, which I haven't had in years. I've ever, actually, because, like, I realized whenever my father was still in the Air Force, I had free reign at the library and my military ID worked. So I don't think I've ever actually owned a library card, except for maybe college, but that could have been my student ID now that I think about it at CMSU. Yeah. So I dropped off some flyers there, so that was great. So that ended the day. And now I can say I am done with the video, and now I'm going to go home and upload this sucker.